Hello, we welcome you back to another question and answer session brought to you by Path of the Just Ministry. This is video number 5 in our question concerning the 2520. And we've already talked about Elder James White's rejection of the 2520. There was a lot of fanaticism that began to come into the movement in the mid-1850s. The 2300 days was recalculated. There was a new starting point. And of course, this is moving and shifting one of the landmarks. That was in 1854. Then 1856, Hiram Edson challenges the traditional understanding of the 2520, saying that 677 was a mistake on the chart. So now we have 677 is a mistake, 457 is a mistake, and of course all the other time prophecies are affected in like manner. Fanaticism started coming in. We have the American costumes, speaking in tongues, the age to come, the non-resurrection of the wicked. And of course, this was threatening the spirit of the message of the third angel. And so now I'd like to, in this presentation, just look at two statements concerning inspiration. Because oftentimes people look at the statement where Sister White says that none of the figures on the chart should be changed except by inspiration. And since Elder James White came out with an 1863 chart, which was also approved by other leading brethren, that somehow, some way that chart actually invalidates the 1843 and 1850 chart, that this is the Seventh-day Adventist chart. And when we look at the 1863 chart, the only time prophecy that we see highlighted on there is the 70 weeks and the 2300 days. Now, what happens to the 1260? What happens to the 1290? What happens to the 1335? What happens to the 2520? Well, all of these, you remember, were all shifted. And so now he got rid of those and just focused on the central pillar of the Advent faith. Now, we realize that many people are saying that the 2520 is not a biblical time prophecy, but then what happened to the 1290, the 1335, and the 1260? Are these not biblical prophecies? Do we not find them in Daniel and Revelation, yet they're not on the 1863 chart? Now, what we find on the chart is very beautiful and correct. However, the 1863 chart is focusing on the Mare vision, whereas the complete or entire vision of prophetic history. And so we realize that that particular chart is only focusing on a portion of the truth and not the completion or the complete whole of truth, which God has given to us as Seventh-day Adventists. Now, a lot of people believe that Elder James White was inspired, that his wife did not correct him, so what he did was actually inspired by God. But what did Sister White have to say concerning the inspiration of her husband and as well as that of the other pioneers? Now, this statement is coming from Testimonies to the Church, Volume 1, page 612, paragraph 4. From time to time for the past 20 years, I have been shown that the Lord had qualified my husband for the work of faithfully dealing with the erring, and had laid the burden upon him, and that if he should fail to do his duty in this respect, he would incur the displeasure of the Lord. I have never regarded his judgment infallible, nor his words inspired. But I have ever believed him better qualified for this work than any other one of our preachers because of his long experience, and because I have seen that he was especially called and adapted to the work, and also because in many cases where persons have risen up against his reproofs, I have been shown that he was right in his judgment of matters, in his manner of reproving. So she said that I've never considered his judgment infallible, nor his words inspired. Now, if Sister White, who was inspired by the Holy Ghost as the other Bible prophets and apostles were, then why do we think that his article or even the chart that he let out in designing is all of a sudden inspiration and can replace what God has already endorsed concerning the 1843 and the 1850 charts? I also want to read another passage to you. This is coming from Counsels to Writers and Editors, page 33, paragraph 3. A brother asked, Sister White, do you think we must understand the truth for ourselves? Why can we not take the truths that others have gathered together and believe them because they have investigated the subjects and then we shall be free to go on without the taxing of the powers of the mind in the investigation of all these subjects. Do you not think that these men who have brought out the truth in the past were inspired of God? Speaking about the pioneers, can we not just take what the pioneers have written and said on these Bible subjects and not have to study for ourselves? Here's the answer. I dare not say that they were not led of God, for Christ leads into all truth. But when it comes to inspiration in the fullest sense of the word, I answer no. I believe that God has given them a work to do, but if they are not fully consecrated to God at all times, they will weave self and their peculiar traits of character into what they are doing, and will put their mold upon the work and fashion men in religious experience after their own pattern. It is dangerous for us to make flesh our arm. We should lean upon the arm of infinite power. God has been revealing this to us for years. We must have living faith in our hearts and reach out for larger knowledge and more advanced light. And so she says that these pioneers are not inspired in the truest sense, but they are led of God, and that we need to be careful that if these men are not always consecrated to God, that they will actually weave self and also will put their own mold, their own spirit and own imperfect character into the work, and that this is very dangerous. And we don't want to lean upon the arm of flesh, but we want to lean upon the arm of infinite power. So was James White inspired in the truest sense? No, but God used him to do a mighty work for the Lord. But unfortunately, we see that in this history, fanaticism came in, false doctrines were coming in, dirt, rubbish, and shavings. These time prophecies began to be reapplied, new starting points, which would give different ending points. And this is the reason why Elder James White gave up the 25-20, trying to stamp out fanaticism, but yet he also trampled upon the truth. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Well, we do hope that this has helped to answer your question, and as always, may your eyes be enlightened as you taste a little of this honey.